Happy Friday, Smite fans. The weekend is here, and that means one set of SEC, two sets of SPL on this competitive Smite Friday. The SEC matchup we've got for you here this morning. Of course, our final North American matchup. Some fan favorite names here in this one. You don't want to miss it and settle in for a long, fun day of Smite. My name is Dolson. Mifflin's with me to kick off the weekend, and Mifflin, had a fun day of SEC action yesterday. You and I had a nice long one to start the day.
A banger.
Then a quick one over in North America. This NA set, though, like I said, I think some fan favorite names, teams to get excited about.
Yeah, you got guys like Snoopy out there, some previous console talent. You've got guys like Oath who have been really erupting onto the scene, so keep your eyes peeled. Erupt is in this game as well, but that's Crimson. Like a different guy.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Shabalva Storm 2-0 over the Nazi Weavers. That was one you and I casted. And then J-Mac and Trelly took you through the 2-1 win for the Callan Wardens over the Yomi Tanuki. Tanuki looking like a good competitive squad. Our last North American matchup this week, of course, the Eldritch Hounds up against the Athenian Sages. Eldritch Hounds up top at 2-0, Sages at 1-1. And remember, going into this week in NA, the Hounds were up top at 2-0. And then there were four teams at 1-1, and then the Weavers were 0-2. And so if the Sages win this one, we're going to have like four teams at 2-1 after this week. And North America just continues to be so competitive, so back and forth. And the upset that would happen here, this would be an upset if the Sages were able to win this one. But the Sages are a very, very talented team, made some changes going into this phase of the SEC. Now a roster comprised of Slash, Jangaru, Briz, Privative, and Snoopy over at ADC. I know last week there were some role swaps, some funky things going on. This team in its actual proper spots, everyone in their proper role, is a very talented team.
I think so. I'm not sure that we've seen the top end of this squad since they have made those roster swaps. Snoopy, a very recent acquisition for this squad, but one that I think doesn't really need to be tested. Nobody's sitting around saying, hey, I wonder if Snoopy's SEC caliber. He is, and potentially even higher
Snoopy's
as well.
SPL caliber, yeah.
So a good acquisition for this team, and I think something that they were desperately in need of previously in phases of past was an in-game leader. Snoopy, with his pedigree, I think can bring that to this team, maybe help them out with some of their objective play, the macro play as well. So I am excited to see how this team starts to evolve now with him on the team. But as we are with all teams, I'm going to be patient with them. I think you're willing to give them maybe 2-3 weeks to figure out what it is exactly that needs to change, how Snoopy's going to reflect on the draft or these team compositions, where you want to play through. So excited to watch, and maybe they've already figured it out. They could just come out swinging today.
Yeah, potentially. This is a team that has a lot of moving parts, but a team that has super high potential. One of the players that I've been very impressed with on this squad is Privative out of support. I think at the SPL qualifier LAN, SEC qualifiers, really stepped up and made some big plays. Privative stood by with us for a pregame interview. Let's hear the thoughts.
Hey, it's me, basically, Billy, your interviewer's favorite interviewer, back at it again with another SEC interview today. I'm joined by the Athenian Sages. Privative, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good myself. I have a few questions for you here today, if we don't mind, and we're going to get into it. The Athenian Sages were a team that's, pretty new to the SEC, 5 rookies when you guys originally joined, and even with your roster swap of Snoopy in and Shinigami out, you still only have 4 out of 5 of your guys being new to the SEC. Despite that, you also have your coach, the best Taco, the best Otter, and Snoopy on your team, so I kind of want to know what those two, in terms of experience, bring in the form of intangibles.
Taco does a lot. Me and her have been cool for like a really long time. So like when I gave her the task, like I was gonna try to get some rookies in the STC, she was like down for it. And she's always there like to support, and like she's always been a close friend of mine. So it's really fun to have her, and like Snoopy's really fun. He's always having fun, so he like reminds us to have fun while we play Smite. So now that we have him, I feel like we have a good like direction of how we want to play, and he like brings like a different type of leadership. So like I don't even have to say nothing. Like just listen, and it just flows. So it's really fun.
Sounds fun. I'm glad to hear it. But Your next match, your match today, is against the Eldritch Hounds, the only undefeated team in the SEC between NA and EU. They even knocked down an SPL team out of Masters just a few weeks ago. I want to know, how's the mental of the entire team going getting into it?
We've never played them with Snoopy, I think, yet. That team, that team's really good. They know exactly kind of how they want to play Smite, but we kind of know some things, kind of how they play, because, of course, Oathy, but I'm the one to, like, kill Oath out the base, so that's basically what we going for, so I'm going to run it down, so that's what.
I'm going to hold you to that. I really am. So, last split, you guys were just one win off of going to Masters in a three-way tie between the Tanuki and the Wardens. I want to know what's different this split. What's going to get you guys into Masters this time around?
Well, one, I don't think Sino's going to play, like, Anubis and Scotty Jungle against them. It was a three-way tie, so that definitely is, like, different. I think SEC this year is really, like, competitive. Everyone's pretty much close. And I'm pretty, like, positive about this time because, you lose and you learn how you lose and you don't break up because that just starts you back at square one. So if you do lose, like, as a team, it's better to just learn as a team and just go forward. And I definitely think this time we can bring it.
That's going to be very exciting to see. Anyway, my last question is a bit off topic. I know you're a big Wizard 101 guy, and he used to be a mid laner not too long ago. So who is the better mage player between you and Briz right now?
Oh, I mean, I love Briz to death, but he can't hold a candle to me. I'm sorry, because I'm a different type of animal when it comes to that little role.
All right, well, I had first-hand experience of how good you were, so I don't need to debate that at all. Anyway, I've been Billy. Privative, if you have anything to shout out, go ahead.
Everyone have a good day. Enjoy some Smite.
And that's some positivity to end our day and our interview. And we are going to get back to the desk. All right, you can stop the video now. Maybe don't include that last bit.
They did include the last bit. Sorry, Billy. Isn't Billy the one who's controlling the...
Lots of entropy in that one. Lots of layers.
Just chaos happening. But good energy from Privative. And what I look forward to is the running it down at Oath. I think I'm excited about that part. The Eldritch Hounds, you kind of got to run at them. This is a very talented squad. Took down the Scarabs from Masters. Of course, Remikami, Oath, Crimson, Quig, and Dude Man Bro 429. Never letting him get on an interview ever again, which is going to be hard to avoid because this team does a lot of winning.
They do, undefeated so far, and I'm sure they'd like to maintain that record. It's not going to be the easiest task up against the Athenian Sages, clearly, who have got a strategy to deal with one of the standout players, the guy on your screen right now, Oath. He's just been impressive, hasn't he? Dominating in this jungle role in a meta where I would argue jungle is not exactly in the strongest spot, but still this is a team that's very willing to play through their jungler. Oath will very often be that primary initiator for this team, playing things like the Erlong Shen, first in, last out, and only out if he's getting sent back to base in a body bag. So I'm excited to see how these guys play. Clearly, it's a team in the past that has played primarily through aggression as well. I think it's a really aggro style in that they are running it down. So if the Athenian Sages want to bring a similar style to them, could be difficult to beat the Eldritch Hounds at their own game.
Yeah, I know we like memeing about Dude Man Bro, but Dude Man Bro really does embody the run it down mentality, doesn't he? I mean, he's such a playmaker in the way that he likes to play the game, which of course always brings the potential. What? You disagree?
He's just a playmaker.
You don't think Dude Man Bro's a playmaker?
I think he's a lot of things, and a playmaker is one of them.
Okay, so I'm not wrong.
No, of
I've
course
just maybe
not.
left out 8 other things that Dude Man Bro is picks and bans.
He's got a pretty popular title.
For game number 1. I don't know what you're talking about, Miff. Picks and bans for game number 1 between the Hounds and the Sages. Remember, Eldritch Hounds go into this matchup undefeated, and the Athenian Sages looking to keep pace with the top of the pack here in North America. And Privative's pretty spot on there. So competitive in North America. All of these teams so closely knit. A Sages win here gets things all confusing in the top 4 effectively. Everyone's beaten everyone. And so I look forward to some good matches of Smite here today. We can get into the bans, though. Erlong Shen taken away. Bologna as well. So between them and Chernobog, a bit used to those two, Miff. Erlong Shen, Bologna, maybe a bit more unique, a bit more matchup-based.
Yeah, I am curious to see that the Eldritch Hounds themselves have dedicated 2 of their bans to primary junglers, Nemesis and Daji, taken off the table.
Dangerous.
Generally, we see when the Hounds play, it's a whole lot of bans towards the jungle from the opposition. Only 2 this time from the Sages, and I'm surprised that it is a Yemoja locked in overall, considering Oath has been very apt to go towards things like the Bakasura. Loves to be that just hyper farm, get into the team fight, hyper mobility style of play. Has seen a lot of success in the SEC, but it seems as if both of these teams are going to put that one on the back burner, as the Hounds will be taking one of the most popular selections in competitive Smite, Yemoja. What is it? Every single patch, she gets like at least 2 nerfs. Still incredibly strong.
Yep.
I'm not going to argue against it. Everyone's playing it for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, like, because, you know, mechanically, just so controlling.
Her
is
buttons are
Yemoja.
so good.
The buttons are so good. And Priv, honestly, I mean, I love this pick not only for Quig, for the Hounds, such a strong pick for Quig, also a very strong pick for Privative. So I think keeping it out of Priv's hands important for the Eldritch Hounds. Get a Baron, a highly prioritized god, as well as a Bakasura myth. So yesterday we saw some Kali later in the game really running the show. Bakasura along that same style of jungler. With Kali still on the board, Bakasura is still the pick that the Hounds go towards here. Why do you think they like that?
I think Oath just likes being able to build crit, right? Bakasura can itemize towards that a little bit more so. Golden Blade immediately into the Wind Demon has a whole lot of damage output on it. If you build Kali with crit, you're really sacrificing it because of how her auto attack chain works. You really want to get those kin size procs as it's like a 0.5, 0.5 in the middle of her chains. So Bakasura similarly just farms better. He's just one of the fastest farmers in the map, and it fits Oath's style. So I think the Hounds very smart to take this for themselves. I had assumed that we would see a 3rd pick overall jungler for the Sage, because there's so many jungle bans already, and now going into 2nd phase, you can see a couple more. Bastet rounding it out. Maybe it is Osiris jungle, and you know, I missed the
Well,
bus
better
of
not
that.
be Sylvanas jungle,
No,
right?
surely not. Surely not.
No, I think Privative likely playing the Sylvanas here. And for those out of the loop, Myth and I had the pleasure of casting a Sylvanas jungle yesterday.
And it did good.
Which actually didn't do horrible. We weren't big proponents of it, but by the end of the game, even in a loss, we're slightly convinced that it could work. I would assume this ends up being Sylvanas jungle. But Olaron and Ullr Myth, you're getting a lot of scaling with the Olaron. Yeah, Sanctified Field, such an impactful ultimate. But there is a lot of scaling for the Eldritch Hounds here as well, between Bakasura and AMC alone, but then you add the Medusa into that mix. Some good initiation, tankiness with the front line. Seems like the Hounds have a good, well-rounded composition.
They do, but it's high execution in the late game. You don't have that standard space controller that you want. You don't have a warrior, really, that's able to separate these fights. You do have a guardian, but your initiation, being a Yemoja, is very high execution. Got to be on point with those Riptides, with those Rivers Rebukes. So I am concerned for the Hounds in a 5-on-5, just as far as ease of play.
Yep.
But they've played so well over the last couple of years that I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, Myth, there's plenty of creativity in both of the drafts for these two teams. Hounds versus Sages, our final North American SCC matchup of the week. Kicking off right now, and luckily for us, it is indeed Privative on the Sylvanas, paired with Snoopy there in that lane. What type of pace does that duo lane give you? What mindset does that give you if you're the Sages right now? You've got an Olaron, you've got a Sylvanas. Are you trying to get active early? I mean, you're going up against a Medusa and a Yemoja. How do you think pressure flows through the duo lane?
It's actually a very nuanced question, because Olaron,
I'm a nuanced guy, Myth.
especially with how Snoopy likes to play it, should be able to establish pretty decent pressure. I'm not completely well-versed in Olaron's power spikes with the Conduit gem start, so used to see him going towards that Gilded Arrow to enhance the auto attacks, but I am still expecting Snoopy to max out that second ability. Should be able to get decent wave clear. Sylvanas has some of the best wave clear that you could ask for from a Guardian. Yemoja legitimately the best, though. So as far as boxing potential, I'd probably favor the Hounds. Dude Man Bro on the Medusa, giving them the edge there, but as far as just clearing out these waves, I mean, you can see it there. The Athenian Sages can deal with them quick.
Priv hits level 2 as well as
Good
Snoopy,
pull.
and that means an early pull on the Dude Man Bro. And an early set of beads. End up getting burnt. Look, the Sages team loves to play through Snoopy. That's no surprise, and something we have talked about plenty. Really, any team that Snoopy has been on, we've talked about it at the SEC level, where Snoopy has that carry potential. And, you know, any team's going to love it if their hunter gets far and ahead. And so I imagine you see some emphasis from the Sages over into the dual lane. But Briz, I think, very strong as well out of mid. Great on these hunter style of picks, so Uller will be a strong look there. And so we do get another hunter matchup in mid with Uller on one side and AMC on the other. Early damage onto Oath. Jangaru thinking there might be more over the horizon, and the Sage is chasing down the jungler of the Eldritch Hounds, but Oath has the legs and looks like he'll be able to get out just fine. Blink gets used by Jangaru, and Oath is able to stay alive.
Oath should be able to re-sustain pretty quickly as well, as long as he's able to, or allowed to rather, to eat one of these minions. Doesn't seem like he's leveled up that ability just yet. Butcher Blades and the takedown were the first two options, so gonna be a little while till he gets that sustain. And you really want him to get involved soon. Briz throwing his weight around a little too much.
Briz steps forward, now Oath will send his blink towards mid. So both junglers have blinks down. Both junglers leave those blink moments empty-handed as far as kills go. And then both likely return out into the jungle. So Serket jungle myth, not something we have seen all that much of recently. Jangaru looks like we'll be able to get out just fine. Speed buff wears off a little bit later. He's able to zoom out. So Serket jungle, not something we've seen all that often. Looks like damage early on in the mindset of Jangaru. Are you a believer in the Serket jungle despite a lower play rate?
I think it works out. It's similar in strength to Bakasura in that she really does, Serket that is, clear out these waves or clear out these jungle camps incredibly quickly as Privative. And Snoopy taking a significant amount of poke here, completely mitigating the healing that you saw from the whiffs. So I think Serket's got some decent matchups as well. If you can rotate over towards Quig or this duo lane early on, could be an opportunity to find some early kills. But Oath of like mind, he's got an Oleron in his eyes.
Oh, but there's such little lockdown here outside of the Emoja stun. Privative doesn't have the best escape. Should be first blood. Just a couple more autos will get it. And Oath is just way too fast. One more, and there's first blood over to the Eldritch Hounds. And Oath on the board for what happened to Dude Man Bro here. Took a lot of poke from Snoopy.
He's tanking the wave.
And tanking a couple of minions on his way out. So at least first blood. Could be a return kill though. Briz close by at level 5. Dude Man Bro low at level 3. Gotta hit Axe. Beads get used.
Good juke.
And dodges out the last bit of damage. But now Snoopy on the wrong side of the wave here. Jangaru in for an assist. But the Eldritch Hounds will get out cleanly with first blood.
Major drop there from Quig. Would have likely forced the beads off of Snoopy had he connected either the slow or the stun with Oath as nearby as he was. But instead, neither does, and Snoopy able to walk himself out of there and even steal away that purple buff. So not a massive loss over to the Athenian Sages, who did drop first blood, but also lost their purple. Being able to find that return is good for them. But Oath as well, just getting involved this early, getting first blood for himself, taking the entire wave there, already rapidly approaching level 6, whereas Jangaru just now taking over to level 5. That's a massive upswing for the Eldritch Hounds. Just in the jungle. Look at the entirety of the team. It's pretty close to even, but this jungle matchup, pretty nice so far for Oath.
Yep. Golden Blade means speedier farm, means higher amounts of golden XP throughout that early game, and getting that kill early feels great for the Bakasura. Wonder if you see Jangaru put some emphasis towards mid. Beads are there for Crimson, of course, but somewhat immobile is the AMC. And so you could maybe see extra eyes from the Athenian Sages over towards mid, but up to this point has been able to farm up just fine. AMC myth has been like one of, if not the most banned gods at the SEC level, and that maintains some pace up towards the SPL as well. SPL team's been taking it away at a pretty high rate. I suppose just that late game burst, Stinger, just so much value. Won't be fighting with the Stinger over here on the left. Oath rooted in place, pulled in by Priv. And simple enough peel from the Sylvanas disengages the fight.
Yeah, Oath does not commit the regurgitate there. Worried about the Sanctified Field from Snoopy, but even that rotation is going to be costly. Dude Man Bro is already playing at a deficit, now splits the wave 3 ways. So Snoopy pulling ahead by Rote there, already ticking over to level 6. It's been continued effort from the Eldritch Hounds to try and shut down this Oleron, but coming up blank twice now, trying to shut down Snoopy has left Dude Man Bro in a pretty precarious situation. But I think it's a good topic of conversation that you bring up around this AMC, because it's not really just the late game burst. The second you tick over to level 5, you've got your burst, and you're always going to have that auto attack potential from AMC as well. So excited to see what he's capable of.
We'll see what this 2v2 over in solo is capable of. My goodness, Oath is shredding already. There's just not enough lockdown now that life of the party has been expended. Jangaru's got to be careful. It was an opportunity for Oath to jump in and stop that back with a kill. So now a couple of, call them dropped kills. Still a good look for the Eldritch Hounds, but could be 2 or 3 kills on the board by now. But the Sages have just been able to get away. That said, a steady 1,000 gold lead has built up for the Eldritch Hounds. First blood plus better farm. And stealing away some farm on the Athenian Sages side of the jungle is given a nice early game lead. Just 1,000 or so, as we've said, in the first 7 minutes.
I'm surprised Oath hasn't been putting a lot more pressure onto Briz in particular. Bakasura into Ull is just a really good matchup. Ull doesn't really have the best opportunities or tools to deal with Regurgitate. Can't really stun a Bakasura off. Sure, the CC immunity window on Regurgitate is pretty low, but just being able to spawn up those minions makes it so hard for Ull to place those axes. The speed boost that he gets in the axe stance from that second ability is not a slow immunity, so Oath going to find value there as well. And just finding that slow in conjunction with the honey from Erupt Crimson or even a Stinger might just be enough to shut down Briz very quickly. But I suppose Briz has been playing pretty far back, all things considered. Usually Ull's one to really throw around his weight in the lane, really try and play up on that tower line, continually put out that poke. Briz has taken a much more resigned style. He's really just aiming for that scaling.
Yep.
Makes it hard to find some of these ganks.
Briz able to do so nicely. 15 stacks ahead on the Transcendence. Both mid laners will reach the fully stacked Transcendence in no time. No, not worried about that. Both in between 3 members of the Sages, but Quig and Crimson are here as well. Good pull from Privative. The knock up on Oath as well as the Sanctified Field out from Snoopy. And that is simple from the Sages. Pull, and then full combo, and down goes Oath, and the Sages have answered back.
I'm not even certain Privative has missed just yet.
No.
These have been just on-point pools, and Oath with no jump there really had no chance either. Dude man bro, hyper-fixated on his own buff, doesn't realize Briz is creeping up behind him, so loses out on the beads. Medusa now has a target on her back. Could be a little while, though, until the Athenian Sages try and fight again. It's a heavy commitment to shut down the jungler of the Eldritch Hounds, cost them Privative, Snoopy, and Jangaru's ultimate. So, could be a bit, but Beads has a much longer cooldown.
Yep, and you saw a first good example of heavy burst that the Sages can supply as well. Sanctified Field down could leave Snoopy a bit more susceptible. I mean, so much utility in the ult run is just through that ultimate. The question always is, so life of the party, more for damage than anything else from Remakami. The question, as it always is, Myth, is how's the Hounds composition built around this Sanctified Field? Do you think they have the utility to be able to fight around it? Or is it more of a, it drops, you disengage for a second and go back in?
I think that they've got decent lockdown. If Snoopy's using Sanctified Field and Privative is nearby, the knockup is going to be nearly indefinite. I'd be surprised if anybody is surviving the entirety of it. But the Eldritch Hounds have got the ability to separate that Sanctified Field. You could just throw up the River's Rebuke, make sure that you're not finding the full damage output, create those walls to deal with the single target damage output of the Athenian Sages. Briz, being an auto attacker as well as Snoopy, means that they really can't deal with it very well. So the Hounds have got some tools. CC immunity from Oath, CC immunity from Remakani, even the Riptide to a certain extent should help out, but the combo potential that the Sages have got is incredibly high.
Alright, so teams now going to collapse with one another around the Pyromancer. Remakami run down by Briz. Then a nice double knockup from Privative on the backside of the fight. Forces out the River's Rebuke. Priv is just on point. Another pull onto Quig, as well as some CC beads get used. Riptide out from Quig. I'm not sure it's enough, and it is just enough. Jangaru is low on the backside, ticking away from the damage of Crimson.
Good pull.
As Oath jumps back in, just needs one more auto attack on a slash, but won't get it.
Privative is just coming up massive for his team there. Starts off the fight with a pull, peels out. If he doesn't connect that, Slash is dead every single day of the week, but Oath, even in jumping back in and landing the takedown, had just lost his ultimate cleave auto attack, so doesn't have the range to finish off those kills. This Sylvanas play has just been phenomenal so far, and again, the Athenian Sage is stealing away the Pyromancer in that situation, putting themselves in a very good position. The Eldritch Hounds are allowed to go for these proactive styles of play, though, because of the lead that they had established early on, even with the Sages being ahead in kills and objectives at this point. Still a gold advantage over the Eldritch Hounds. So it's all about experience, and they've got that too.
They sure do. The Eldritch Hounds, though, a very experienced team at playing.
I like what you did there.
Yeah, well, thanks. I was on a nice train of thought, Miff, and you just totally ruined it.
Oh, sorry, gassed you up.
Eldritch Hounds, a very experienced team at playing from all facets of the game. Usually it's ahead, just because of the style of play that they've had here as of late, and felt near unstoppable. Which is really saying something when you look at the North American SEC in general. I mean, so much talent spread across all of the teams in this league. And so the fact that the Hounds have had sustained success now over a couple of phases, I think very, very impressive. But lots of teams gutting for that top spot here as well, and the Sages put up a great fight and kept things interesting in the first 12, 13 minutes of this game. Gold Fury stands close by. Start to get some shred online for both of these teams, and a bit of a different look at a build. Speaking of shred, from Dude Man Bro, gets into Icavale, Bloodforged immediately after it. And so maybe Dude Man Bro is hoping to chain some of these kills together, or often the answer is he just had enough money for it. Either way, unique as far as Hunter builds go. Can Quig even get into the Riptide? Looks like yes. And a rare miss from Priv on the pull.
Maybe even the first one, but it's not just Dude Man Bro who's gone for a slightly more eclectic build. The Bloodforge, I think, makes some sense. You want that higher power infusion to work with Petrify or Acid Spray. Slash in some trouble here. Has to Lord of the Afterlife over the wall. Can Oath get the chase down? No. Primitive's there with a peel yet again.
Oh my goodness, this Sylvanas is just relentless on the left side of the map. The same thing happening though. And Dude Man Bro's able to answer back a kill. Slash has got to stay alive though. In fact, he'll pull another kill. And this is chaotic in the first few minutes. So the Athenian Sages were able to pick up two, but so are the Eldritch Hounds. Looks like we had some odd-numbered fights on either side of the map. But the Eldritch Hounds, I was going to say we're on a better side of the map for pulling a Gold Fury. But it looks like it's just the kills. But gold-wise, the Hounds still pulling ahead. Another 500 or so gold in that one.
Yeah, I think the new Gold Fury just too strong as we take a look back at how Dude Man Bro navigates this gank. Sinks some good damage into Jangaru, stares at him a little too long. Bloodforge Power Spike, giving over a little too much there. Snoopy had already used his Sanctified Fields, and with his back to Crimson, will die with his back to Crimson. Great play from the Eldritch Hounds to deal with that aggression of the Sages, and I think that's a play the Sages have to go for on the left-hand side, realizing that Privative was playing around the soul lane, realizing that Privative was really not in a position to be there. They have to try and get something, but instead come up blank there. But the Gold Fury not going down, I think, is a byproduct of how some of the changes have played out in 9-5. When it goes into that little scepter stance, I don't even know what you would call it. It like channels its hand at you, wags its finger.
Yep.
That's range damage. You can't just trade aggro anymore.
Privative is initiated onto Oath here. Oath is able to jump out. He'll stay just fine, but beads off of not only Remikami, but Oath as well. So you get some value out of that small moment of action from the Athenian Sages. You've opened up re-initiation opportunities onto a couple members of the Eldritch Hounds. Snoopy could be in some trouble here. Petrify for the slow. Sanctified Field, I don't know if I'll say countered, but answered by a River's Rebuke. Then Snoopy will sidestep just enough. And I think one of those last little bubbles would have gotten it. Gets hit with the primary, but not the secondary. Oath, an opportunity, though, now to tower dive. Jangaru is behind this Bakasura. But Jangaru is also 2 levels behind the Bakasura, not just physically, but in XP as well. As Oath continues a high-paced first 15 minutes of this game. A red buff invade now looked at by the Eldritch Hounds. That one not successful. Sage is able to drop it.
Yeah, good defense from Briz there. And a phenomenal rotation from Jangaru. Oath had the blink available, and it would have only taken one, maybe two auto attacks to finish off Snoopy, who no longer had the Sanctified Fields. And speaking of Jangaru and his phenomenal play, catches Oath on his rotation back towards mid. Easy placement of the ultimate, but can he make it out alive? Yes. Briz maybe not so lucky.
Briz pulled in, but the peel from Slash, not enough here. Remikami snags the first kill of the game for the Baron Samdi. Jangaru goes back in, but is able to slither away. The Sages are being very proactive. Sages are getting plenty of kills. Just none of it is paying off in the gold department. The Eldritch Hounds, as far as macro game goes, has just slowly been pulling ahead here, Mifflin. Over the last minute, another 1,000 or so gold has built up for the Eldritch Hounds, despite the Athenian Sages being ahead in kills.
Dude, man, bro, with a overzealous, ambitious, wishful ultimate.
My goodness.
Tries his best to shut down Snoopy. I'm not sure what the play is there. He's hoping that Snoopy turns around and looks at him,
Yeah.
I suppose.
He's a playmaker.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He lands the ultimate, but not a whole lot of kill
Are
potential
those
there.
words you live by?
What's that?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
I mean, it's just the truth.
I mean, yes, but would you say that that's a saying that has fueled your decision-making in life?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like you know.
Like, is there a moment where you're like, nah, I don't feel like doing it, and then you remind yourself, well, if I don't do it, the answer's always no, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's like a really cute barista at a Starbucks one time. And I was thinking to myself, nah, man, maybe I should.
Uh-oh. Oh, no!
Come on.
You were talking about baristas, and Opus getting soloed by the Pyro. That's my fault. In the meantime, the Sages grabbed the Gold Fury as well. That's rare. We don't often get to see that. Just a pure solo, both from 100% HP. And Oath just loses the auto attack battle to the Pyromancer. And the Athenian Sages now, bit of a surprise for Dude Man Bro's got to use both of the actives. Well timed on the ultimate from Jangaru. A pull in from Priv. And the Sages have a good turn of fate here in the last couple minutes.
Just a random windfall of good fortune for the Athenian Sages. Oath sold by the objective, and Dude Man Bro now without both his relics could be another easy rotation for them there.
Wow.
But the Eldritch Hounds have been keeping up pressure the entire game. Why stop now? Tier 1 mid tower falls down. Tier 2 mid tower will follow suit. What's the response from the Sages? Potentially a Tier 2 on the other side. Remikami would like to stop him here, and he's done so.
Oh, that's a good life of the party. That Sanctified Field drapes over the Tier 2 tower, or just next to it. And that'll slow down any kill potential, though.
Big rotation.
Crimson and Quig over from mid. Quig and Crimson both do not have ultimate. So you're just waiting on some lockdown, and there it is. On to Snoopy. This is a big fight. Could turn the tide of the next few minutes of this game. Snoopy, the first to die off Privative. Now stunned on the retreat. Remikami being poked down by Briz, who has to jump away. Slash. The last one of the Sages left with the Eldritch Hounds, though Briz is able to find some good damage on the back away. It looks like 1 for none may end up being all that happens in this 5v5.
The Hounds can keep up their pressure, though. Still significant grouping on this side of the map. A Tier 1 tower would go a long way. Worth noting that Tier 2 tower in mid, still standing for the Athenian Sages. Hard to tell, as it's only got a couple of HP left. Never mind, Oath takes it down, so completely wash on my analysis there. Gold advantage now over to the Eldritch Hounds. Not only is it a 1-for-0 trade, but they pick up 2 towers, 1 Tier 1, 1 Tier 2, as opposed to the singular Tier 1 that the Athenian Sages had gotten for themselves. No bastion of safety for the Sages to retreat to around these Fire Giant dances, around subsequent Gold Fury dances either. Generally, in those situations, you head back towards your mid lane. Now, you'd kind of be forced to rotate over towards solo if you're on Fire Giant side, or duo on the gold side, which is never ideal. You want as many avenues to move as possible. So the Eldritch Hounds in a very good position, but have slipped up on their golden experience lead. A couple of misplays across the map have net the Athenian Sages about 1,000 gold in their favor, which is still a 2,000 lead for the Hounds, but
Yeah, right.
still a swing. You know, still there. You can see it on the charts.
Right, it's not 3,000 anymore.
That's right.
It's 2,000 now. XP is still hefty, though. You got 3 levels in solo, 1 to 2 levels in mid, everywhere else feeling somewhat even. What a turn this game has had for Oath. Started off 1-0, opened up for a lot of potential plays. Now has died a few times in a row. Could Happened to
Good
Crimson
Lord.
here as well, but how about that damage? Stinger plus Oath equals kill. And Jangaru is down. Eldritch Hounds able to stabilize, cauterize the wounds a bit as the Athenian Sages are on the run. And Oath relentless here, trying to chase down Privative. Plenty of damage, gonna take a little bit. Remikami has ultimate. Should be a pullback in here onto one member of the Sages, and Oath will end up getting the kill nonetheless.
Privative on tour. Only just make sure that the Hounds regroup themselves around the Phoenix. So now it's up to Briz and Slash. Briz no mana, but a good initiation from Slash might separate them.
Yes, but you're not able to finish off the kill onto Oath, Lord of the Afterlife. Only on Remikami, so the healing will be slowed down until that ultimate times out. I was gonna say, that is a wishful thinking Phoenix Siege at this point in the game for the Eldritch Hounds. But able to get another kill, knock down some more farm, grab some objective pressure on the map. And Fire Giant Myth looms large over the horizon, and neither of these two teams the type of team to shy away from a potentially early FG. So I wouldn't be surprised.
You're so good at your
I'm
job.
so great at my job. Fire Giant pulled by the Eldritch Hounds. It's gonna burn, they're gonna stick with it, though Jankaru is close by. Steal? No good, and the Eldritch Hounds able to confirm the Fire Giant in 22 minutes.
Jangaru loses his beads as well, so it's going to be even more difficult to defend his own base. The Eldritch Hounds in a very good position from here to just keep up that siege. Love to see them head back to base, regroup, and start working their way down that left side of the map. Fire Giant on all 5 members, plus a ton of out of combat and in combat healing. Means that it's going to be very difficult for the Athenian Sages to win out on what is very quickly becoming a battle of attrition. Generally, when you're talking about sieges, it's who can survive longer, who's dealing with it the best. The team with just more healing probably doing a bit better there. So I'd like to see the Athenian Sages on defense, not around the tier 2, probably around the Phoenix, to go for an all-in commitment. Slash and Jangaru have the ability to remove 100% healing if they connect with those ultimates. Could be that they could just shut down either Crimson or Dude Man Bro, remove one of these hunters from the map. All of a sudden it becomes much more difficult for the Eldritch Hounds to actually take out these structures. So that should be the game plan here. But this all-in style of defense does not synergize very well with Snoopy's God. Sanctified Field really is all about forcing your opposition to fight into you.
They're gonna envelop the Eldritch Hounds here. All running from the purple buff, going for broke.
Whoa!
And this is chaotic. Sanctified Field answered back by the River's Rebuke, but it is not working out for the Sages, not just yet. Crimson simply has too much damage. A double kill from the AMC has hit the dual lane of the Sages. Slash will be rip-tided back into kill range. Remikami roots Slash in place, and a triple kill drops for Crimson, make it a quad. Briz on the other side of a penta, and it won't happen because Crimson is down. The deicide is here, though. The Eldritch Hounds pick up all 5, 4 of them for the AMC.
Dude Man Bro survives with sub 100 HP, barely able to keep the breath in his lungs. That is a tough one. A tough loss in a team fight that goes nearly perfect for the Athenian Sages. I mean, that strategy is just so good. The ultimate from Privative immediately into the Sanctified Fields. Everybody was stuck in the air for nearly a full 3 seconds.
And I don't know if they can. Primitive's back. Snoopy is going to be back in 1 second. You don't have minions. Get a kill onto Priv. Yeah, I think you got to leave. The Eldritch Hounds agree. So you are able to get the Phoenix and some damage onto the Titan. Really, you're setting the stage now for kind of one more deep breath and then a push in from the Eldritch Hounds. Still got 3 members with Fire Giant, hefty gold lead, and now all 5 team members back on the map.
It's a massive gold infusion to the Eldritch Hounds as well. It's not just the Phoenix that goes down. Tier 1 plus Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side, global gold over to the team. You've got still a full entire minute on this Fire Giant power play, so could be that we see the Hounds trying to regroup, take out that Tier 2 tower before they reset themselves to another Fire Giant dance. Oath gonna get the Pyromancer on his own. Revenge kill for Oath, by the way.
Oh, he did it.
He gets the 1v1 this time. So Pyromancer versus Oath, 1-to-1 count. We'll get the tiebreaker eventually, I'm sure. There's Crimson. He could just blow him up.
Oh my god. Yeah, he can. Jangaru's gonna get out, though Crimson's gonna take a heap of damage as well. And that delays this game out. Exactly what the Sages needed. Should burn the last bit of Fire Giant time off of the board. So the Sages, if nothing else, have now bought themselves some time. A big turnaround from Briz. Nearly maybe a game-ending kill onto Jangaru from Crimson. Crimson, a bit too much there. Or maybe not enough, rather, damage onto Jangaru, and Briz able to answer back. And that gives you a real good look at the burst potential of this Uber at this point in the game. Oath is also learning it the hard way. Ultimate down from Oath. All of that initiation, but Oath is able to jump out. A Petrify from Dude Man Bro keeps Jangaru at bay. Life of the party goes up from Remikami and will stun Privative on the right side of the River's Rebuke, but now a Sanctified Field might mean that this Baron is dead, and the Sages pick up another individual kill.
Fire Giant's still a minute out from the respawn, though, so Remikami only going to respawn 10 seconds or so after the Fire Giant does. So even with the Athenian Sages taking the team fight for themselves, I don't think that they're really in a position that they can
End the game.
end the game, put pressure on the Fire Giant. I think best case scenario is what you're looking at right now. A tier 1 tower in mid, and they're not even going to get that either. The Eldritch Hounds, they may have lost out on the fight, but realizing the state of the game and the state of the map, there's not really a whole lot of risk there. Privative forced to use the Entangling Wings just to peel out for Snoopy. So massive Relic loss, and Relic roundup. It's the Eldritch Hounds who come out ahead on that team fight. Even in a loss, the Hounds are winning. That's crazy.
That is. Remikami, notably the teleport, is what I've got my eyes on in the next 10 seconds. This Baron can TP over to the right side of the map and has beads. And both of the carries have beads and Aegis. That's just beads for Briz and Snoopy, and then Shell up for Briz, and that's it. So a bit safer as far as damage numbers go are the Eldritch Hounds carries. Crimson playing far forward. Just have to be careful about Privative. Beads, good value, but Quig left alone, sent back towards the Sages, but just not dying off. Quig somehow lives. Slash unable to fix that. And Dude Man Bro picks up another 2-1-6 on the Medusa. And now Oath has reinitiation. Snoopy, he's gone. Double kill for the Medusa, and the Hounds with a big opening around the fire.
Massive Relic diff in that team fight, man. If any of those beads are available, or if the 2 Phantom Shells on Privative and Snoopy are up, you're not falling down as an Athenian Sage in that situation. But because of the exchange that we saw around the Fire Giant pit just a moment ago, the Eldritch Hounds just had more resources to play with. Now Fire Giant on all 5 members can continue the siege they had started up previously. Left side Phoenix has respawned for the Athenian Sages. Double-edged sword, though. Someone's going to have to keep those fire minions at bay. Jangaru is the recipient of that task. Eldritch Hounds, they should have taken notice. They can just walk on into this right side bird.
Yeah, just haven't seen much from Jangaru this game. Really, both junglers have tried to find their moments, but the damage and initiations have been centered around support, solo laners, of course, both of the carries. So right side Phoenix will fall. There's a Trebuchet working down the right side of the map, so soon to be Fire Wave plus Trebuchet if the Sages aren't able to deal with it. A Primal Fury awaits. Not sure the Hounds really need it. They're so strong and so far ahead. And this left side Phoenix so close to going down.
Uh-oh.
Might just need to find your initiation. Briz over on the right side of the map. That's a pull in onto Privative and a kill. Dude Man Pro with 3 in a row now in this game, as the Sages will lose their support. Might, with that, lose their chances of defending the left side Phoenix.
Just an easy pick on the Privative. Has to use all of his relics, doesn't survive regardless, and now it's Oath in first. Good damage onto Slash, but it should be an easy disengage from here.
Yeah, the rest of the Hounds are going to follow up on this just fine. Snoopy finds safety in the fountain. And a split mindset from the Sages, or the Hounds rather. Looks like they want to back up and spend some time on the mid lane Phoenix instead of immediately going for the end. Trebuchet stuck where it's at over on right, dealing with the minions. Fire Wave will join it here shortly. The rest of the Eldritch Hounds now have a 5v4 for 10 seconds until Privative respawns. Slash jumping in towards Oath, but Oath just wailing away on the health bar. Crimson deals the last bit of damage. The third Phoenix will soon fall, and so will Snoopy. And with that, this game should come to an end. The Eldritch Hounds,
got the dash.
They stumble a bit in the mid game, but they stand strong at the end and take game 1.
Eldritch Hounds, it just felt like even when they were losing out on team fights, it was, okay, sure, we lost this skirmish, but we got an objective. We stole away some of your buffs. We pushed down a tower. So even when they were taking L's in the fight itself, it was to further progress their strategy of strangling the Athenian Sages in these elongated battles, so utilizing all of that sustain, as we get a good look at exactly what the Eldritch Hounds are aiming for in every single match. They can care less about the Titan.
Can you pull the Titan into the fountain too now?
Yeah.
Like, will it heal up if it goes into
No, it won't. It should.
It should, right? It's its own fountain. The Eldritch Hounds do end up taking game number 1. They feel inevitable, don't they? The Hounds, just with the way that they're playing Smite right now, just like Thanos. That might be a bit aggressive for the Hounds. Like, I don't think they're the Thanos of the SEC just yet.
Undefeated 2 phases straight so far?
Do you think Belt Slap in the Belt Slap days or the Hounds nowadays are more Thanos-like for their respective SEC regions?
It might be Belt Slap.
I think
Belt Slap were just like so dominant.
They just ran the EU SEC for a while. They straight up didn't lose like a game. Not only a set, but like just didn't lose a game for like 2 or 3 phases in the EU SEC. But hey, the Hounds are in that conversation, and that means something. They're good at Smite, and they're good at Smite here in game number 1. Athenian Sages got to bounce back in game 2, coming up next.
At first I said that I love you and you ain't say that shit back. It's kinda hard to just trust you when both your feelings don't match. Got me showing less emotions, I don't wanna get attached. Once I give you my word, I swear it ain't no going back. Once I give you my heart, you better keep that shit intact. Instead of assuming no words, girl, I'm just here stating facts. You want me to take you back, I want you to take me back. You want me to take you back, I want you to take me back. So tell me, is you gon' ride out when the chips fall? I seen too many people leave when it get hard. I'm tired of going back and forth when we pissed off. Most of my friends done went through it and they stood tall. See, they gon' try and tell you what they think is good for you. Whole time they was plotting, man, I wish they was for you. You gotta watch your back, your front, your side, they disloyal. I gotta watch my crown, cause from birth I've been royal. And that's from the soil. Yeah. Strong-minded individuals. What happen when y'all both reach the pinnacle? Things start to get physical. What make it worse? The motherfucker live with you, talking what you didn't do and what they did for you. You just praying for a miracle, cause they been with you through the good and the bad times, made it pivotal. All them feelings that you hold inside, it will hinder you, so let it go. What you didn't do and what they did for you. You just praying for a miracle, cause they been with you.
Starbucks barista, right?
Of course. Of course.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize we were live. We're back with the Eldritch Hounds. 1 up over the Athenian Sages. Little help from the Pyromancer. Helped the mid-game get interesting there. Sages had a chance back in, but the Eldritch Hounds just so consistent as far as getting their feet back underneath themselves, team fighting better, maintaining a gold lead. And the Hounds, they arrive here in Game 1 MIF and find themselves a 1-game lead.
And the nature of that win for the Hounds is not what I would have expected, right? There's a massive conversation around the difference between SCC and SPL is that the SCC doesn't farm nearly as well. As we get a look back, gotta meme our boy Oath. It doesn't happen often.
At what point? But
there are ways he wins that fight.
But I think like
such an easy steal.
Oh wait, Slash got it even though he ended up getting the
Yeah, he got it. Yeah.
I don't want to take away from the replays, but I'll let them roll. At some point, Oath's got to know he's losing that, right? Like when the damage numbers are clearly not in his favor, and like even in my brain, I'm like, that's like 2 auto attacks away from killing you. Like leave, you got to leave the Pyromancer pit.
I think what he tried to do there was he wanted to drop his ult, auto cancel, eat a minion, and then auto again. But instead he autoed twice, so he doesn't get the eat minion and he dies. Had he eaten a minion, I'm like 95% sure he would have just won the fight second time around.
Why didn't he do it earlier in the pyro pull?
Because you don't want to use your ult. So he wanted to he really waited till the very last second.
Okay. Look, I mean, this is you teaching me because I'm so far out of the top tier mechanical skill of soloing Pyromancer. A funny moment nonetheless, but for Oath's sake, it really didn't mean anything in this game.
50,000?
No, 49,889, as a matter of fact, from Erupt Crimson, and a quadra kill on a left side Phoenix Siege. One of the highlights that Miff and I were discussing the Pyromancer kill over showed that quad, and it was actually really nice. The swarm of bees just kind of barely clipped the quad in the back corner of that fight. Crim, far and away the top damage dealer in that game. Shows you why AMC is so highly prioritized in picks and bans. Might need to be prioritized, pick or ban, by the Sages here for game number 2. But the Sages will find themselves in second pick. And so, Miff, the question ends up being, do you need to ban away the AMC? I think if it's left open, the Hounds go right back to it.
Oh, man. Would they go towards AMC in first slot? I think it depends on...
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you should. Like, Yamoja kind of owns AMC.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yamoja was great.
So there's, like, some really nice counter matchups there. AMC is a pick that I think that you can prioritize pretty high in your draft order.
What about Yamoja being banned now?
You still have, like, other walls that exist.
No, but it's just Yamoja.
Ymir does it more often if you really want to get technical.
All right. So if you don't pick it, which the Hounds won't because Mercury's left open, do the Sages now pick AMC? Or there's still walls in the game?
I think AMC is fine. But if you take an AMC this early in your draft, you're almost like giving over the idea that it's going to be a double hunter composition.
Yeah.
Uhl in the first slot doesn't show too much. It's pretty likely that if you don't take AMC here, you could probably assume that the Hounds will.
Yeah.
I'm not certain that AMC is so strong that you have to take him,
I guess that's really the conversation. Are we at the point where AMC is so strong?
No, he's not like an insta-locker.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Is there any god right now that's insta-lock no matter what every single time?
Yamoja.
Right, pick
Yamoja, Mercury probably.
Yeah.
Bakasura to a certain extent.
Kumbhakarna.
If you're in the European SEC, for sure.
Apparently in the North American SEC, not insta-lock, but still lock-worthy, as the Eldritch Hounds pair Kumbhakarna with an Osiris and Mercury for their first 3. Sages get some good utility, of course, with this Geb Myth. It's a popular support pick as far as CC and utility, but also the Stone Shield. It's so important and so strong. And a Daji. So some of the jungle picks that have been getting highly banned out end up making their way through here in game number 2. So it'll end up being a Mercury versus Daji matchup, something that we have not been able to see here much as of late, just because of ban rates.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to start to round out. I think in the late game 1v1, which we so often see between junglers, it's all about who hits who first. If Daji hits Merc first, Daji wins. If Merc hits Daji first, Merc wins. So it's almost like when you're like playing FPS. Oh, he saw me first, I lost. That's kind of how it's going to play out in the late game 1v1. But as far as laning phase or just like jungle farm, you're probably favoring Mercury as far as jungle pacing, as well as that global presence allowing him easier access to dual lane ganks. But what Daji brings to that is just pressure on beads, pressure on ultimate, remove those CC immunity avenues. Daji very much so more of a facilitator in the early game when compared to Mercury. But now with Yu Huang locked in, you're probably really never getting his ultimate or his beads, even with Pao Lao. The third ability from Yu Huang having CC immunity on it means that he's able to deal with that for the most part. I really like this Hounds draft, man. Just top to bottom. I feel like they have something for every portion of the game. Osiris can hold his own. Yu Huang, incredibly safe. Mercury and Yu Huang and Medusa all scale up well into the late game. If you want to play for early pressure, Medusa brings that in your laning phase. I like how this Hounds draft is going to round out. The Sages, on the other hand, have got great team fight presence. Really good on the 5-on-5. Decent pressure output from the Uhl, but Geb's essentially a sitting duck throughout the early, and Vulcan is just jungle food.
Vulcan's got high area damage, and he's a pusher, by the way. That was our fun fact. But you're worried about Vulcan's just ability to stay alive here in this game.
I love seeing Vulcans as a jungler.
As a jungler, you do. As a Mercury, you double do. Game number 2 between the Hounds and the Sages. Kicking off right now. We get a 2-0, or will the Sages push us on to a game number 3? The Hounds hoping to stay undefeated in the North American SCC. And that is a not Snoopy Vulcan, or not Briz Vulcan. That is a Snoopy Vulcan.
Huh.
I don't think that changes the quality of food for the jungler.
It's better.
It just changes the side of the map it's on.
Yeah, Mercury is loving ganking the duo lane. That's kind of Mercury's MO. Just walk through the lane, ult down. And that's just a great target for it from Snoopy. That's not to say that Snoopy's Vulcan isn't historied. In the tapestry of Smite over the years, you're getting at least one chapter in the documentary about Snoopy's Vulcan, right? But, like, I'm not certain that we're in a meta where it's really going to facilitate it. It's a relatively low-pressure lane against a relatively high-pressure lane. Geb should be able to keep you alive for the most part, but he can only do so much against a Kumakarna and a Medusa. I'm excited. We'll see how it plays out. I'm expecting Oath to get pretty active over there.
Yeah, level 5, you either got to have ward coverage or be playing under your tower, I suppose, if you're Snoopy and Priv. Though the fun fact, I guess, is pretty on point. Snoopy should be able to push out this lane somewhat effectively early on, be able to clear the waves quickly. But Dudeman, Bro, and Quig will be able to stabilize. So it is a mad dash to level 5, it feels like, for both Jangaru and Oath. We've talked plenty about Oath. Of course, the Sonic Boom, great gank potential. Send it right down a lane, maybe ideally duo lane. Where do you see Jangaru's best opportunities here in Game 2?
If Jangaru takes over to 5 before solo, you really would love him to get involved against Remakami. I almost never want to see him in mid because Crimson's so survivable into Daji. Dudeman, Bro, pretty susceptible. And early game, the 1v1 between Daji and Mercury favors Daji pretty heavily. I know we were talking about the late game a little bit earlier and how it's more so about who sees who first. Early on, I think Daji has got very high potential to bring the fight to Oath, so targeting out the enemy jungler and slowing down his pathing, slowing down his farm could also alleviate some of the pressure that I'm expecting to be put onto Snoopy. So those are probably the two I would keep my eyes on for Jangaru. If you're 5 first, get onto Remakami. Otherwise, Oath is just a great target.
Yep, you got to watch out for beats in this matchup as well, of course, for the Sonic Boom. But Powwow especially. Looks like Crimson changing up mid-build path just a bit. Book start. Have to imagine it's a stacking item then. Thoth has been popular into Warlock Staff if you're scaling a bit later on into the game. So maybe that's what Crimson's mindset is here. Briz was going to say could have some opportunities to Crimson as well with long-range poke. Quig blinks forward in an attempt to steal away a purple buff. If
So
anything,
annoying.
just being obnoxious, unable to secure the purple, but is successful in being annoying, and I think that's worth something.
It is. It's worth Dudeman Bro getting an entire wave to himself, which is pretty massive. Making sure that this Medusa has a lead is huge. Jangaru is going to target out Remakami first.
Yeah.
No ultimate available, but not enough burst either, so the Osiris able to walk himself out of there. Just really unfortunate timing
So
for
red.
Jangaru. That's his passive, man. Every time he uses an ability, he
know,
loses a body part.
Okay, I know what Osiris
And he turns into
does.
a ghost, and it gives him damage mitigation.
Yes, okay, I know what Osiris does. I'm saying in this skin, he is like bright red. He's like molten metal.
Yeah.
Normally on other skins, he
You know the
like
name of the skin is, right?
No.
It's Bright Red Ghost.
Wait, for real?
Nah.
Nice. Bright red ghost Osiris.
Nah,
say.
I made that up for sure.
I know. Right, on other skins, he's like a ghostly ghoul-looking form, and on this one, he's...
Gabagool.
We nearly made an entire set without a laugh break. You and I need a laugh, like a crowd laugh track, so we can just be silent while the audience.
Yeah, because that's what everybody really likes in 2022, laugh tracks.
And that's what people love about our casting the most.
We laugh so they know when
so
to.
they know when to laugh, exactly. Oath has hit level 5, so has Jangaru. And so high alert across the map now as the solo lane option, the bright red ghost Remakami, does have Ward of the Afterlife now, so safer against gank potential. Crimson could get pinched here by Jangaru and Briz. But Crimson will dash away.
Yikes.
Oh, Briz was positioning for an axe onto Crimson, but ends up getting countered out by Oath and the Sonic Boom. The Eldritch Hounds are able to find first blood onto Snoopy nonetheless, but it is not through a gank from Oath. It is level 5 reach. Dude Man Bro, I assume, sent out the Petrify, but Snoopy dies with beads here. So first blood over to the Hounds and a purple buff.
Oh no, they're gonna do it? Oh, this could be sick.
Are they gonna send it again, you think?
Dude, hold on. Quick, why'd you give up on it, man?
Well,
that was
there's
it?
a ward. There's a ward.
Okay, there's
so they
a
knew where
ward.
they were standing.
Privative leaves.
That's
Dude
just
Man
a-
Bro just goes in.
Oh,
Snoopy
no.
thought he was in base. Pretty basic. Yeah, that's as simple as it gets, man.
He's a
That is tough.
playmaker.
He is, and I can't argue against it. He made the
You
play.
did earlier.
Look,
You made fun of me when I called him a playmaker.
I'll make fun of you given any opportunity. Hey, look, Snoopy's been playing
Yeah,
this
Dave,
game
you got
for
big
10
arms, you idiot.
years. For 10 years, Snoopy's been playing this game. 3,650 days he has played this game. You'd think he just, like, I don't know, wouldn't be in shop right there.
Well, I'll counter-argue that in a second, as Dude Man Bro is taking the Cataclysm almost back to Petrify. Dude Man Bro will effectively 2v1 Snoopy and Privative on their way out. My counter-argument is if you play Smite for 3,650 days, you're bound to make that type of play eventually.
Oh, wait, how many leap years are in that?
It's, what, every 4 years?
That's the election.
I think leap years are 4 years too, but Snoopy, he'll get ulted by Oath here. And this is the worrying trend. We set this up in picks and bans. Vulcan was so susceptible to ganks and initiation, and that is what a Kumbhakarna, a Medusa, and a Mercury can do. And it's happening again. Rollout's gonna get countered out. Oath now 2 kills, and the left side of the map, simply a graveyard in the first 6.5 minutes. 2.4k gold and experience are the Hounds, and all of it's funneled in left.
Yeah, what was the verbiage you used in P's and B's? You said it was a jungle food. That's what you
You
called
said it
Vulcan.
was jungle
And
food.
you were absolutely right, Dave. Great analysis work by you.
Why are you
Snoopy,
giving me the credit?
just struggling to survive over in that lane, man. You
What a
you
weird
nailed
bit.
it.
What a weird bit. Why
Well,
are you
I
giving,
can't gas you up.
Why are you? It's just a bad bit. Why are you giving me credit for something you said?
Well, you popped off, man. And you facilitated me to say it.
Okay, you're right. I said it, and I was right about something else today. As Oath has pressure continued, this time over on right. Simply staring down the damage of Jangaru, who does have powwow. Remakami able to secure the blue buff. And so Snoopy has had beads this whole time. I think maybe realizing that beads aren't going to save his life in many of those moments.
How nihilistic.
Yeah, I suppose.
You gotta be trying at least.
Yeah, but like saving them for the right moment, you know?
Next game is looking like.
Yep, okay, it's 3-0, man. We got 7.5 minutes. The Sages can come back into this. You need to see Jangaru finally hit some pay dirt, though, because none of the other lanes are necessarily ahead. Actually, in fact, Soul Lane is just kind of passively behind. And Oath has got Sonic Boom. The moment Snoopy steps into lane here, if he even does, this is just going to be a collapse in. Quig is going to bait
Good
all
old.
of the Sages in. Has passive, which will buy some time. 4 members of the Athenian Sages grouped up around Quig.
This guy's a menace.
The Quig running away from the rest of his team. And so it will indeed be a kill. Over to the Athenian Sages, and it is handed to Briz. And the Uller will get the first kill of the game for the Sages.
Quick, just way too deep in the jungle there. Steps onto the offering, so pretty easy to spot him out on the map. Clean rotation from the Athenian Sages to make sure that he isn't able to survive that exchange. The irony of it being that had Quig just been anywhere else on the map, including like AFK and his fountain, Snoopy would have walked into the lane and just got slammed by Oath. So unfortunate timing for the support of the Eldritch Hounds, punished properly by the Athenian Sages. But you're talking about how Jengaru hasn't really been able to get involved. As this game goes on, and the more I look at it, Jengaru is not in a great position to get involved. The best he can hope for is forcing an ultimate. CC immunity from Quig, Dude Man Bro, Crimson, Oath, and Remakami, all inherent to their kits. Bede's not under pressure from anybody else on the Sages except for Geb, and Privative hasn't really been making the most proactive plays as of yet. You don't really expect Geb to be that playmaker for you early on. Doesn't really have the survivability to be just blinking into the back line and looking for the Cataclysm, especially considering he hasn't got a blink available to him just yet. So if Jengaru wants to get value, he's going to have to go in, burn the CC immunity, come back, do it again.
It's a good look from the Athenian Sages. This is oracled by the Hounds. The Sages simply choose the perfect time to pull the Gold Fury there, where everyone from the Hounds is either back at base or on the other side of the map. And that was a needed Gold Fury. Before that Gold Fury, gold was 3,000+ ahead. Now down to just a couple thousand for the Eldritch Hounds. Pyromancer will be up shortly. Hounds hoping to grab the right side objective, mitigate a bit of the loss of the Gold Fury. Slash has some range damage, could steal away the Pyromancer, but uses it. And then Quig with the epic uppercut forces Slash back. Pyromancer taken by the Hounds, despite the Sage's best attempt at a steal. And now it is time to disengage. Knockup does connect onto Crimson.
Bad axe.
But that's Yuhong we're talking about here. You can disengage. Crimson does have beads. Will use the beads, but there's just too much. The dive of the Sages. 4 members find the mid laner, but a double sonic boom from Oath delivers death to the doorstep of the Sages. Remakami's got a double, and now the chase down begins, but Slash still has some legs in this fight. It's actually a close engagement here in mid. One kill here or there will make the difference. Slash
Double
and Briz
stun.
both stunned,
Double
but
ult.
enough tankiness keeps Slash on the map. Quig fixes that, and now Briz left running for the hill, but Snoopy is on his way over from dual lane. It's chaos in mid.
Dude Man Bro makes the rotation late, so won't be able to punish Snoopy for his. Briz able to walk himself out of there. Great play from the Athenian Sages. I had thought that was a foregone team fight after the ultimate engagement from Oath connecting onto 2. Privative forced to tank up that tower and able to pick up a couple of kills on the tail end. But at the end of the day, Gold lead remains just about untouched after that trade. Gold Fury over to the Athenian Sages, Pyromancer to the Eldritch Hounds, a nearly net wash in the team fight. Keeps that gold disparity hovering at around that 2,000 mark. 11.5 minutes in, still very significant. But the experience is really the separator right now. 2-level gap for Quig in the support role, 1 for Dude Man Bro, Oath sitting at 1, and then parity across the board. Briz just now ticking over to 12 to give him a slight lead over Crimson.
And Remakami just hit 12 for a lead over Slash.
Thank you very much. Speaking of Crimson, though,
Please tell
that
me.
entire team fight is contingent on the fact that he's playing Yuhong and is able to bait the Athenian Sages for,
Took so
what
long.
was that, like 15 seconds
Yeah.
just about? CC immunity on the dash, forced them into the tower, still maintains his beads through the entirety of that team fight, baiting the Sages even further in.
Quig now has found an initiation on the Briz, but the Stone Shield will help out. But it only helps out Briz. Crimson simply has too much damage. Charging up the ultimate.
Yikes.
And a big whiff. Maybe keeps Privative alive. Crimson will float away. And now just eyes for the Oracles. I think we need to establish the right verbiage. It's not because that's not a dash from Yu Huang. It's also not a jump.
It's a self-banish.
I'm not calling it a self-banish.
Unfortunately, that is what it is.
Can't do it. I'm gonna call it a float. As Oath gets jumped on by the Sages, and it will be a kill for Jengaru. Look, it's such an important pivot point in this game, where Rage is now picked up for Oath. And if the same pace had continued, the Rage stacks build, and there's kind of no turning back for the Sages. But now able to shut down Oath in back-to-back fights has slowed down the progress of the Eldritch Hounds jungler. Look, they might be behind, but the Athenian Sages are funneling their aggression into the right places.
They are, and the trend being that they're getting the better end of a lot of these team fights is going to go very well for them, especially considering the pacing of the map state. The Fury is going to be spawning up in just under a minute. If the Athenian Sages can keep this pressure up, could be that they could take one more objective for themselves and completely equalize this game. Dude, man, bro, in some trouble. Snoopy trying his best just to body block, buying time for
Snoopy
Jengaru.
so fast.
Well, he's got to do more.
No, it's just a do more Vulcan. He is speedy, and Dude Man Pro will get out. Body block slowed down the Medusa, but slowed down is just about it. Another initiation from Quig. This time, Lord of the Afterlife does not hit Pater. Oath not wanting to be the one tanking up the tower. Up the dash away. Nice block from Remikami on the fatal strike. Takes a minute, but the kill drops nonetheless. And now Slash drops. And Remikami improves to 3-1 and 1 rage stack for Oath. So nice turnaround over the last couple minutes for the Hounds.
Yeah, getting those rage stacks online so important,
So angry.
Especially with this build. It looks like he's going towards Deathbringer in second slot. That's a very early crit stack for the Eldritch Hounds jungler. So making sure that you're getting the value of Invenom Deathbringer is massive, and one way to do so is to build up more crit. Jengaru trying his best for a 1v1, but it was just a bait. 2v1, make that 3 as Privative gets involved, but Oath, maintaining all his relics throughout everything, is able to use them to escape here. 160 seconds on both Beads and Aegis. It's time for Jengaru to get involved. It's not going to be easy. Palau doesn't beat Sonic Boom, so you got to get through one more bit of CC immunity, but we might see a pull-in.
Crimson has to use the beads and will use his float to get back beneath the tier 1 tower. Oh, I thought you looked over at me dramatically.
Nah.
By the way, leap years are every 4 years, so I was right about something else.
Are they on the same year's election year?
That I don't know. I have no idea. I guess it depends when the first leap year was.
I think the Olympics are every 4 years, too.
That is the most obvious one. Actually, the Olympics are every 2 years. The same Olympics are every 4 years. Oni Fury pulled by the Eldritch Hounds. Privative close by. Oni Fury gets dropped. Priv, though, just run down. Left alone, the Gib. Stuck in the Fury pit. As the Oni Fury is down to half HP. Sonic Boom flies through. Doesn't hit the Snoopy, but does hit Priv in the back. And Snoopy able to delete Oath before the kill drops. But Remikami is at least able to pull back one. Oni Fury still stands. This fight is just split. But the carries of the Eldritch Hounds now able to join the fight. Is their setup is the question. Outside of Petrify, no. And so the Hounds will have to just be happy with 2. Sages, though, able to get another kill on Oath.
Gold Fury pulled out. The Athenian Sage is still showing some presence. Crimson just off the mark with his damage, and it's Jengaru in first up in the Palau.
Jengaru looking. Jengaru's got, and it's a pull in on Oath, but the Petrify big from Dude Man Pro to slow down the kill, but the kill drops anyway. Slash grabs it, but the Eldritch Hound's not healthy enough to stick around. Though if we know anything about Dude Man Pro, a slightly low health bar is not going to force him away from this Gold Fury. He's going to want to stick around.
Good pull.
Privative is why. Push back in from Crimson, and Dude Man Pro on a killing spree.
My man Privative cannot catch a break. Dies in the Gold 3 pit, respawns, walks over. I don't even think he did anything on the way. Dies again immediately trying to defend the Oracle. So another slight advantage over the Eldritch Hounds off the back of a phenomenal pull from Erupt Crimson to cancel the rollout. So the Hounds, if they so choose, could regroup and take their pick of the litter between these neutral objectives.
Oath got hit first.
He got hit first, and we're late game.
Yeah,
he's struggling.
And Oath now has to leave.
No way.
Wow, he'll be able to.
Okay.
Just Remikami, though Quig has been close by more times than not.
Jengaru has CDR stacked up, too. I feel like his abilities were coming up pretty soon. Even if he just keeps walking an Oath there, you're at least forcing the Sonic Boom off. Maybe a slight drop.
Well, Snoopy is winning the fight against Dude Man Bro. Bit misplaced on the Earthshaker, but the Aegis gets forced out from Dude Man Bro nonetheless. So Snoopy will call that a win. And luckily for Snoopy and the Sages, Miff, Snoopy's been able to stabilize, right? The early game was not great. Priv tanking up the Oni Fury. Teleport in from Remikami. It's going to be a collapse through. And a Sonic Boom in. Privative down again. An epic uppercut from Quig means goodbye to Briz. And the Kumba Karna's been at the forefront of so much. Privative has as well, but in the wrong way. And now the Eldritch Hounds able to group up around the Oni Fury. Should get the objective.
Silver linings where they lie for the Athenian Sages now that the Fury's finally been removed from the map. Privative can die somewhere else. 3 in a row in the Gold Fury pit. 0-5 for the support of the Athenian Sages and the Eldritch Hounds creating the separation.
Pendant.
No shot.
I have not seen anyone but Jake like actually.
But he second slotted it, man. Like what?
Like splurge for the Chronos pendant. Because I'm all about damage, right?
I'm loving damage.
Yep. So I like it as far as damage and cooldown goes, but
That's all it does. Some MP5, I guess.
right, yeah, I don't like the MP5. I only like the
I wish it wasn't there.
I wish
honestly.
it wasn't there. I only like it for the damage and the cooldown. No, I mean those are two fun things. More damage and more abilities, meaning also more damage, is always going to be fun. All right, I'll tell you off camera. Something just made me laugh. Oath drops the speed buff. In this game now going very, very well for the Eldritch Hounds. Just about 6,000 gold in the lead at the 19-minute mark. And though Oath has been slowed down, has not been completely stopped. And the Rage, the Deathbringer,
Wait a second.
they've all arrived. Go ahead.
Snoopy's also got a weirdo build, man. Witchblade in the third slot. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're worried about fighting in 1v1 up against Dude Man Bro or Oath, even Remakami to a certain extent. Getting some of that attack speed off and some physical defense doesn't hurt.
Are you
Synergizes
convincing
well with
yourself
a
of
Doom
it?
Orb. I mean, like, I would prefer if it were just another damage item, but Snoopy
There is
needs the
value.
survivability, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, his support's like dead all the time, so guess you can, like, I suppose, justify it in your head as like a built-in stone shield.
Yeah.
It's still weird.
Yeah, different. Different. See if it pays off for Snoopy later on here in this game, but just now fully stacking the Warlock staff, got the Doom Orb. You want those Earth Shakers to make big differences in these fights.
Okay.
Good poke damage from Crimson means...
You think that's poke? That looked like an attempt at his life, man. He's
Yeah,
down
but
to 50.
the style of damage was
Oh, yeah,
from
for sure.
range, just poking him out, not full-on initiation. It chunked him,
That's right.
but it was poke. It was just
That's
poke.
a hefty poke.
It was a hefty poke. It was a prod even. Quick silences out Snoopy, but it's stone shielded by Priv. And Priv seems like he's dropping alt stone shields from afar. It's the way that this game is going to go for the next couple of minutes. Oath charging up the ultimate. Won't find the initiation, and it is a simple tier 1 tower drop for the Eldritch Hounds.
They get the beads off of Snoopy, so next initiation could go a lot better. If Oath's taking notice, that means he's got a target in this next team fight. Slash. It's his dash interrupted. Quig able to connect his CC. Damage output not quite enough. Just a bit of poke there. A prod, if you would. A slash drop down to about
Oh, and I would.
70%. The Eldritch Hounds, the better proactive play. It feels like anytime the Athenian Sages are stepping up to put up a defense or show presence around one of these structures or neutral objectives, Crimson's there with the damage, Quig's there, throwing around the fact that he's 4 levels up on Privative to just leverage that tankiness and initiate these fights. If anyone steps too far out of line, Oath teleports behind him, hits him with a nothing personal kid, and crits him twice, and they're just gone. The Hounds, everything's just coming up their way.
Yeah, I mean, the Sages are just so far behind at this point in the game. You got to hope for a dropped ball somewhere. The Eldritch Hounds,
Good
good of
pull.
a team. Yes, nice double pull. And good initiation from Privative. But the disengage is strong from the Eldritch Hounds. Oath is low, doesn't have Sonic Boom. Dude Man Pro simply
Seriously?
wins the fight against Jangaru. Loses the 2v1, though, against Briz and Privative. Wink looking for the root in place, doesn't get it. Fatal
Good
strike
block.
blocked by Oath, and Slash is sent back. Earthshaker will hit Crimson, but the Aegis was burning away, and so Crimson will live. Ultimate flies out. It is now backpedal damage from the Eldritch Hounds. Slash flies in, gets the stun. Tanking up the tower, though, is Quig has found a nice double mez on the backside. The Sages, despite a massive gold deficit, actually fighting in well against the Hounds.
Privative cannot rotate back in. No stone shield, no dash, and no knockup means he's done in this team fight. The Athenian Sages showing some significant fight back and put themselves in a position now when Jangaru respawns where he can actually find some value from these ultimates. I believe that's one of the first pull-ins we've seen this game, and it's because Oath just decides to let it happen, maintains his beads until after the Palau is fully channeled. But Relic Roundup, everything below Remakami is down for the Eldritch Hounds. The Athenian Sages, everything down except for Snoopy's Aegis. We can take a look back. This is a miraculous, essentially 3 versus 1. Jangaru just removed.
My goodness. Dude Man Bro gets value from the Bloodforge. Unfortunately, not enough value. Ends up dropping at the end of that fight anyway. This is where I thought Oath Oh no, this was later on in the fight. That was a nice body block. And a good stone shield from
Selfless.
Primitive. Keep Slash on the map. Would you describe any jungler as selfish ever? Or
Selfish?
No, selfless.
Yeah, man. Did you watch like Worlds last year? Panatom was literally giving up the shirt off his back and the food off his plate so that Shinto could just be level up.
Yeah, I must not have watched it. Must not have been there. You're right though. Okay, so yes, I set the bar too low. Would you describe any jungler ever as selfless? Was the wrong way of posing that question. Gold Fury will go over to the Eldritch Hounds. That'll further extend back that gold lead. And honestly, that kind of mitigates the fight that the Sages just won. That down tick in gold now just swings right back up towards the Eldritch Hounds. And in fact, does exactly that, evens up the gold right back to where it was. Now the Hounds not a team that'll shy away from taking contested Fire Giant fights or Pyromancer fights. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they just, in the face of the Sages, pull one of these two objectives.
They'll burn them quick.
They will burn them quickly. Especially when Remikami is burning red and just look just how angry and how fast he must be able to burn.
Speed, precision, power, violence. He's got it all.
Momentum. The Sages, I don't know though, Miff, if the Fire Giant gets started by the Eldritch Hounds. I mean, the Sages have 3 towers on the map. Certainly not a game-ending teamfight loss as far as immediately the game being over. But if you lose a hefty teamfight around the Fire Giant, gold and experience-wise, I think the game may, in fact, just be over.
Yeah, so the Sages will show presence here. I think it might be a bit of a double-edged sword. Sure, they've got 3 Tier 2 towers still standing, but Tier 2 towers 25 minutes in with the Fire Giant are just free gold for the Hounds. And more gold when you're already nearly 10,000 up probably does not bode well for the Sages. Slash taking some significant damage before the skirmish even starts. Meanwhile, it's the Fire Giant dropped low.
But dropped entirely by the Eldritch Hounds. Remikami, 4 versus 1 is just running the backline. What is going on here? Sonic Boom doesn't get anything, but does reposition Oath to now run down Snoopy. Slash is traded back 1 kill, but a Petrify from Dude Man Bro gets the Bloodforge rolling. Slash walking into 3. The Eldritch Hounds have found the necessary picks. The duo lane of the Sages is gone. The solo lane of the Sages lives on, but the float from Crimson puts him right in the backside of Slash, and another kill falls. The Eldritch Hounds just 1 by 1 running down the Athenian Sages.
One more auto attack, that's all it takes, and Dude Man Bro will connect it. Not before. Quig gets knocked down. Shangaru with a lazy back over the wall. Rupt Crimson gets the kill this time. You're so close to your base, just like
At that
walk
point,
over.
It might have been faster
It
just
might
to walk
have been.
back.
Hold on, let me look at his build. He's got some katanas. That's some movement speed. Only just katana 1. Yeah, it might have been faster to back.
I don't know if he had speed
Not
buff
as
or
fast as
not.
going back to base in a body bag. That's like the fastest way.
Yeah, it's just super speedy. Tier 2 tower will fall. Fire Giant's going to drop here eventually. Oath trying to solo an objective again.
Careful, bud. Oh my
Oh,
god.
he did it!
Really?
He makes up for it. So game 1 gets...
Surely someone was helping him, right? He had to get pretty lucky, I'm thinking.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe Remikami was close.
Just serrated for
See,
lifesteal? I mean, like, he's
Doug-
capable.
Doug is very subtle in his hints here. You know, when he sees something, he hovers over it in particular. Like if somebody got a kill that we didn't see, he would immediately go to them. And so he immediately went to Quig, which makes me wonder if there was somehow some. But Quig was under the. Wasn't Quig over by the? I'm not
Quig
sure.
was nearby.
Doug is subtle in his ways. You know what I mean?
Oh, thanks, guys.
No, so it was just Oath.
God, he's critting every odd. This guy is so lucky, man. This guy is so lucky.
So my worrying trend now is I've got a worse read on Doug than I thought. I thought he was trying to speak to us through the person that he was hovering over on screen. No, it's not the case. So it was indeed a solo on the Fire Giant from Oath. And knowing what I do about Oath, I'm imagining he told his teammates not to come help him because
Guys, I got this.
Yeah, he wanted to try. And it worked out this time. Makes up for the Pyromancer solo in game 1. Yeah, man, if I don't, this looks like easy street for the Eldritch Hounds. The Sages need a miraculous defense to keep this game on. And there's just so much initiation from the Hounds between the Sonic Boom, the Lord of the Afterlife. Quig has been blinking in and epic uppercutting all the
Strikes
Sages.
are so groggy.
Just so groggy. Sage has got to find max value from beads, 3 of which are down, to keep this game going.
Yeah, so 20 seconds until the Athenian Sages can feel confident in their ability to take a fight. The Eldritch Hounds likely do not know the exact timers. I'm thinking they've probably got a feeling that some of those relics are probably down. If I'm the Sages here, it's all about just slowing down this left side Phoenix. I don't think you're willing to put up a full defense until your relics are available, but even before this breath is done, all of them will be back up. And the Phoenix, it's the mid one going down.
Privative sends Cataclysm towards Oath, but Oath will use the beads. Jangaru up into the Palau. Earthshaker finds nothing over on the left side of the map, but does slow down the siege. Oath ends up turning around a kill onto Jangaru as the Trebuchet continues to heave damage towards the Phoenix over here on left. Remikami will leap away, and the Phoenix does drop, but so does Briz. This could just be the game-ending fight. Oath is ripping through the Sages, a triple kill to end the game and end the set, and the Eldritch Hounds will remain undefeated.
Just looks like the Athenian Sages composition didn't really have a through line. The execution path for their team fight was so difficult to find. When playing at a deficit, who's burning the beads? It's Jangaru. Who's making use of the burnt beads? It's Jangaru. And he can't do both on his own. So he wasn't able to do anything whatsoever. The Athenian Sages struggled to hit pay dirt once they grouped up as 5, and the Eldritch Hounds, as far as play on field was concerned, they had it.
We're going to end the game in about 30 seconds.
They're going to put a 5th on Jangaru? We got dragons?
Well, I guess Jangaru had to leave the fountain, right? They definitely had enough damage to kill him in the fountain, so this was the only play for Jangaru, and Jangaru will live. So a small silver lining to the Sages is there's not a 5th death on the board for Jangaru. Clean smite from the Eldritch Hounds for like 95% of the game. There's like the 5% where they stumble a bit. The Sages actually showing up in team fights despite being down 5 to 6 to 7,000 gold. But the other 95% of the game from the Hounds looks near unstoppable. One of the best, if just not the best teams in the SEC right now. And games like this show you why.
I just feel like a couple of questionable decisions from the Athenian Sages. The composition, of course, a major question mark there. Not exactly tested, but certainly some picks that I know that are comfortable for the individual players. But when there's a Merc in the game, do you really want to be Vulcan in the duo lane? I'm thinking Snoopy no longer does, considering how that early game went. I believe it's 3 ganks from Oath before the 15-minute mark that puts them so far ahead. Good look at it here. That just happens like a lot this game, and it does not change, because really there's no recourse for Snoopy in those situations except for hoping that Privative was nearby. But Privative struggles as well to find his farm, falls down 3-4 times back to back just trying to defend this Gold Fury. Pressure from the Eldritch Hounds around this duo lane nets them all sorts of objectives and a massive lead throughout the early, and with a team that scales like this, probably don't want them ahead early.
Yeah, the Eldritch Hounds and the way that they're built and their composition was built. Just too strong, overwhelmed the Athenian Sages. Nice body block, so selfless from Oath. In these types of games, really just highlight how dominating this Eldritch Hounds team is and will improve themselves. Or improve to undefeated, will remain undefeated. And I like
even more undefeated now.
Right, they've lost even less than they did before. I love these styles of picks from Oath. I mean, it's just so dynamic. I mean, obviously Mercury gets banned against effectively every jungler in the SEC and the SPL anyway, but so exciting to watch Oath play. Honestly, Oath might be the best jungler in the SEC, the North American SEC at least. Now, there's plenty of debate to be had there. Sino's
You just
playing.
started a fire.
You're telling me, I think Oath at times plays like the best jungler in the North American SEC.
In the North American SEC, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of junglers.
Right. I mean, but again, there's a debate to be had when you got Sino in the SEC.
Yeah, like a world champion.
Right, but right now...
As of right now, I agree. Oath has been very dominant.
Yeah,
to your point.
My question isn't who's had the better Smite career.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you started a fire. That's all I'm saying.
Did I, though?
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some discourse about this.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Hindu Man's going to talk to me about this one. Unlucky for me. My point is, Oath is playing a very good jungle right now, and the Eldritch Hounds are much better off for it. That is it for this week in the North American SEC. We got 1-2-1, and that was the Wardens and the Tanuki, a set that the Wardens won, and the Shabalba Storm, I was gonna ask you to do your Hun bets again, but I don't think
I'm pretty good at it.
I can't expose myself to that. And the Anansi Weavers will fall on that set 2-0. Eldritch Hounds improved to 3-0. Athenian Sages dropped to 1-2. I wouldn't be worried about that team. A strong enough squad, I think, that should be able to bounce back. But such a talented list of teams here in the North American SEC. It is just a brawl across the board. Every single week, it feels like every single matchup so closely matched. Lots of talent, especially in the jungle and the NASEC, and a lot of fun to watch. Also, yes, leap years are on election years.
Is that true?
And it's purely coincidence.
Well, and how could it be? They had to have chose the first one.
What do you mean?
Like, they chose the first election to be on leap year. That's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. Everything happens for a reason.
But not the reason you're thinking. I don't think in 1776 and then years
No,
after.
we waited a little while to get a president, man.
So we're not ready to break free just yet. We gotta wait for a leap year.
They bring the tea over.
SPL about to kick off for the week. Tartarus Titans, Solar Scarabs headline it. Solar Scarabs, Jade Dragons finish it on our final match on Sunday. But two close matchups today, I think, that you want to keep your eyes on. Titans versus Scarabs, lots of storylines there. Olympus Bolts versus the Valhalla Valkyries. Can the Bolts maintain their consistency? Will the Valkyries show us signs of improvement? And then Saturday, I think my headliner match for the week, you got some top 4 matchups, top expectation matchups going into the week here in the SPL on Saturday. I think I look at our first matchup of the week, Miff, very important for the Solar Scarabs to show us some momentum, some building on their win last week over the Valkyries.
That conversation has been around the Scarabs for so long, man. I'm ready to see them step up to the plate.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not even. No longer is my conversation, hey, man, are they iterating? Are they building? Are we ready? Are they going to step up? I'm saying it needs to happen soon, or maybe something else needs to happen.
My goodness.
Maybe something else needs to happen.
Lay them down the law. SPL will start shortly, but before the SPL waiting room, we're going to set the stage, probably talk a bit more about things like this and a whole lot more. SPL waiting room coming up next.